Considering the success that Slade and Bradbury have had prior to this season, what is it about their relationship with Denard that they're good, like both parties are able to maximize that relationship?
Yeah, I think those guys, both of those guys, have played at a high level for a long time, and all players want is to know how you can improve them as a coach. Denard holds a very high standard in that room. And they want to be held accountable because they know that if the coach holds them accountable, they're going to improve. So that's been a great room to be around. I love what Denard does in there with them. He's hard on those guys, and they know they got to be prepared when they walk into that meeting room or on the field, or they will get exposed. So those guys are high football character guys that want to be coached and want to do things the right way. So that's why you see them playing at a high level, because they continually improve.
As far as interviewing for a head coaching job, you got to do it because of bye week first. How difficult would that be doing that during a week of preparation for?
Yeah, New York Giants.
Speaking of the Giants, a lot of familiarity you guys have with them and vice versa. What are sort of the positives and negatives of that?
Yeah, good question, John. Every game's different, but they are a familiar opponent. But, we're preparing like we do any other game, that a team that we've played a couple times or a team that we haven't played. So we go through our full process, and, you can use the previous games as a tool, but know that they're going to have different things for us, and we'll have some different things for them. And it's a new game, and especially going into the playoffs, it's definitely a new game, a new season. So we'll be ready to go.
JG, watching the Minnesota game, was that the best game you've seen Daniel Jones play?
Yeah, he played extremely well. Their offense was clicking on all cylinders. He made a lot of plays, a lot of throws. He used his legs at the right times to extend drives and get some first down. So we know, just like anybody we go against, that the skill set of everybody that we're playing against, how they use those guys and what we got to be aware of and what we have to have a plan for. And, he played extremely well that game. That's one of the major reasons why they're playing us on Saturday night.
What are some of the biggest differences you see from the Giants from Week 14 to right now?
They're a good football team. They're playing at a high level, and the offense, they do some unique things because of the quarterback skill set, and it makes it hard for defenses to defend. So we got a big time challenge versus them, and we got to be connected and stay connected and do a good job with our fundamentals and tackling and being on the same page and communicating the right way. And really then basically becomes, knowing what they like to do, and then ultimately execution's at a premium.
When you went to CJ about playing slot, how'd that conversation go? How did he respond to it, both in terms of how you asked and then how he performed?
Good question, Jeff. He's willing to do whatever we need him to do to win the game. So he was excited about it, and he's obviously played that spot before, and it didn't take too long. The conversation, hey, CD, you're going to play nickel and safety, and he's like, okay, cool, let's go. So, happy how he played and what he did, and just like we do any game, we'll see who's up and who's down and try to fit people in accordingly.
You couldn't do that if you didn't have faith in Reed playing the safety spot. What has he done to make you have that?
Yeah, I got faith in that entire room. Dave, Reed's played at a high level for us, and someone asked me, you guys really didn't change or skip a beat when Reed came in. And I said, we wouldn't really change or skip a beat with any of those guys that coming in, because I got complete confidence with those guys. They've continued to develop. I don't, as a defense, we say, hey, here's what we need to do to win a game. This is what you need to get done, and he's doing it.
Isaiah Hodgins in the last couple of weeks has really emerged for the Giants as a receiver. What have you seen from him on tape, especially last week?
Jay's a big guy. He's got a big-time catch radius, and he runs good routes. So, he makes a lot of contested catches, in traffic or when he's one-on-one, and he's covered pretty well. And Daniel's accurate, so that helps him too. But he's a big guy that can run, and he's got a big-time catch radius, so we got to do a good job with him.
Saquon had at 9 for 28.
first time you guys played. What was sort of the key to holding him down a little bit, and what's critical for this game?
Yeah, I think just playing the calls the correct way, and we understand he's going to make some plays because he's a really unique player and he's a really good player. And we got to do a good job. It's not one or two guys. It's all 11 guys being on the same page, doing their job at a high level to be able to hold a player of that caliber down to where we need it to be to win a game.
When you look at Jordan and Jacoby, obviously, they haven't played a whole lot this season, but what's the value of having this playoff run for them as far as learning from guys and how they go about the business?
Yeah, I mean, any experience that you can get as a young guy as you go through the season is good experience for those guys. But they know that this is just like any other week, and they got to prepare and study just like it's, a regular season game. And, we talked to our guys about it's heightened because you have the extra external factor of if you lose, you go home. But that doesn't change how you prepare your mind and your body and how you need to get yourself ready to play. And also with saying that, going out on game day, you don't have to do anything different than what you've been doing. If you just do your job, we'll be okay.
The question was posed to Nick yesterday, how he's different compared to his first playoff game as a head coach last year. How are you different compared to your first playoff game as a coordinator last year?
Yeah, you try to improve playoff game, regular season game, OTAs, training camp. You try to continually improve with what you're doing in your process all the time. So really that was just another opportunity to play another game, and we knew that it wasn't good enough. And then when we got done with that game, we said, hey, here's how we need to adjust moving forward. But again, Zach, it's we go through our full process just like we're doing, and we'll be ready to go.
When you
JJ, when you
the
play a
film
team
of
for like a third time here in 6-7 weeks, could there be any danger in maybe overthinking and building a game plan, and that we got to find a different way to do something rather than just saying, this is what we do, come and stop it?
Yeah, head coach does a really good job with that because, he's very aware of that being some people that, through your experiences, you've seen maybe you've been on a staff or been around some coaches that have done that. And he gave a very clear vision of how he wants this game played by all three sides, all three phases, and we'll follow that vision.
Why do you think Daniel Jones had probably maybe his best game of passing last week?
Coaches put him in good spots, and he executed at a high level.
When you look at Nick's training camp and walkthroughs on Wednesdays later in the year and all that stuff, shorter practices, when you look at your group now, what's the payoff? How much do you think that's kind of contributed to their health and sharpness?
I mean, huge. I think we're in the top, tier of games missed by starters, so obviously the plan worked. Because everyone gets nicked up, but we've been pretty healthy for the whole year. I think our guys will be energetic and we're healthy, and we'll have some fresh legs. The bye kind of helped that, but they'll be ready to go. But like I said way back when, Nick had a very short and long-term vision of what he wanted to get done with how he structured the entire year. And I think you're seeing the benefit of it now as we play here in mid-January, that we're a healthy, fresh football team ready to go.
Sweat's absence, what did this team miss? And what's the value?
Say it one more time.
Josh Sweat's absence, what did this team miss? And what's the value of getting him back?
Yeah, I think the guys that played for him did a good job. It's just like when Reed goes in, I didn't, fear anybody that went in and played that they couldn't get the job done within what we're asking them to do. But obviously having Sweaty back is a huge advantage for us because he's one of our premier players, and I think he's ready to go.
Home playoff games are loud and communications are premium, especially in the secondary. Why is the secondary doing a decent job when it comes to communication, getting the right coverages and everything else?
Yeah, I think they've been coached the right way, and they know what they got to be. I always say you got to be ahead of the play. So what that means is you got to be thinking pre-snap. If they do this, we have to make this adjustment, and this communication needs to happen. And we've had continuity in that back end. I know we had a couple guys bounce in and out of the lineup, but for the most part, they've played together throughout the entire year. So they're on the same page. They know it will be loud, but I always say, there's communication that needs to happen, but if we have eyes, we should know what we're doing, and what I mean by that is if you can see, what you need to check to, and to that point, 17, I was here in a playoff game, and it was loud, so I expect it to be rowdy.
JG, people ask me what the vibe is.
Vibe is awesome.
Yeah, well, okay, that's a good thing. But is there a danger, or how much of a danger is players get too hyped and too emotional, and you're just trying to keep them, obviously?
Yeah, that's kind of what we talked about with our team. That's part of that goes into every week. You hear me say psychological prep. We talk to our players about certain things that are going on. And, we don't run away from that. We acknowledge that there's different things going on, and this is just like another game. There's a different set of factors that are going into that. But ultimately, our guys know if we execute and do our job, we'll put ourselves in a chance to win a game. So that's what they'll do.
Yesterday,
Last
Nick
one,
was
please.
asked about what has changed since Shane has taken over the play calling role. And Nick said it also gives him an opportunity to work with the defense. Have you seen the benefits of that?
100%. Yeah, I use the head coach throughout the week and on game day, and he's a huge resource because he understands the game at a very high level. So he's helped me tremendously. He helped me last year even when he was calling plays. But, we have a very unique and good relationship during the week, as you would want with your head coach, because I use that resource, and he's excellent for us on game day.
It was good. We went through a lot of self-scout stuff, looked at, what we've done well throughout the year, things we need to improve on. Did a lot of stuff that we felt comfortable with. I think we got better from that, and we went from there. So, ready to go.
How did Americans go this weekend?
Just focus on the Giants right now. That's it. Yeah. Not like that. I love it here. But, yeah, I got you.
Where do you feel like you guys are? You guys didn't run the ball as well late in the season, maybe the last few games, as you had earlier. I know Miles had the knee, obviously Jalen not being out there. But where do you see the running game right now?
I think we're in a good spot. And, it's week to week, Rube. I think with everything, you look at what you're doing well. If you're doing something successful, you stay with it. If you need to improve on some things, you got to look at what you need to improve on. And we went through that self-scout process last week. I feel like we're in a good spot right now.
And what's the challenge of facing a defense that's really kind of changed its MO throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, I think you got to adapt and change too offensively for what they're doing defensively, and I think every game's its own new identity, and so we got to be ready for whatever they're going to throw at us defensively, and if there's something new, we got to make the adjustments quickly.
How have they changed? What stands out the most since the time that you played them?
They're to continue to grow defensively. I think with anything, you're around, certain guys for a while, throughout the season, you start to grow, make the adjustments needed that they feel needed. Same with us, offensively, what we feel needed. But they've been doing a good job defensively.
Do you build a game plan for that? Do you try to anticipate?
Yeah, I think so. You got to adapt. You got to be ready for anything. I think teams play us differently, so we try to put ourselves in all these different situations to what could happen. Not necessarily thinking it might not happen, but you got to be ready for it. So we go through that process every week in our meetings and try to get certain looks and walkthroughs that we might think we might get.
Speaking of the run game, what has Boston Scott brought to this offense, and why do you feel like he's had so much success against the Giants?
Boston's awesome. The way he prepares week in and week out, goes about his business. He's the ultimate pro, smart, tough, all those things. He's got really good vision. Just a great player that we're happy to have.
When you face a team 3 times in 6 games, is it a little bit of a bonus for you guys that maybe you didn't have to have your full-fledged game plan against them in the final regular season game? You had some elements of your offense scaled back?
Yeah, a little bit, but with anything, each game's it's a new game. You know what I mean? I think you got to go into those things saying, hey, this is a whole new deal, and we got to be ready to go. We got to make the adjustments, things that we saw on tape that we think we need to be better at against them. I'm sure they're doing the same thing with us. They know us, we know them. It's going to be a heck of a battle on Saturday night.
That Week 14 game was your highest scoring output of the season. As you watched the film this week, what jumped out about the way the offense played and what you called it?
I think there's a lot. We executed at a high level. I think that was the biggest thing. We took care of the football. Guys executed. We got into the right plays. Jalen made some good checks. We ran it efficient. We threw it, good early. There's a lot of good things. I think it just comes down to execution.
When you have a player like Boston who has had success against one team, first, is there Any explanation?
Yeah, I can't answer that, but yeah, he's been really good against them, so hopefully we can keep that going.
But as a coaching staff, when you build your game plan, are you cognizant of having a player like that, and do you try to get him involved a little bit more maybe than you would in other weeks?
I think we try to get everyone involved. I mean, really. I mean, I think it's the way the game's going. If someone's got the hot hand, you roll with it and you go.
What happens when Leonard Williams is in there, aside Dexter Lawrence?
And
You guys didn't see Williams the first time.
Yeah, and both of those two guys are really, really good players interior. We got to have a plan for them. Like I said, they're really good, and we got to execute against them.
You mentioned you know them, they know you, there's such familiarity. In your prep, do you have to be wary of overanalyzing things because of that, or do you just say?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, we got to go out and do what we do. The things we've done well, we got to go execute those things more than anything. It's what it comes down to. Execution, taking care of the football.
Because you had that extra time leading up to the game, did you spend more time with Jalen talking through like what he might like in this game plan than you would have otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, we always have those conversations. Those are always ongoing. Obviously, we had the bye week. We went through some things. We did some good on good stuff versus our defense. And then obviously we were preparing. We didn't know who we were going to play. It worked out. We looked at the Giants. We were like, shoot, maybe on Monday, then we got to get ready to play Dallas, Tampa Bay. There's a lot of things that were going on, but it worked out to where we did some work on the Giants, and they ended up winning. So, yeah.
You've spoken about this mental catalog that the quarterbacks build. I guess the more times they see a defense or a coach. In Jalen's case, have you seen the benefit of when he plays a team a second time, a third time, things of that nature?
Yeah, I think so. I think with any position, especially the quarterback position, the more you see, the more you play, the more experiences you have, the accelerated vision is going to pick up, especially, from a personnel standpoint too. Their DBs, linebackers, mannerisms, all those different things. Absolutely. I think it's just like when you go against our defense in training camp, you kind of know how Slay plays routes, how Bradbury plays routes, like all those different things. The more you go against a team, you're going to have a good feel for them.
The biggest difference for you personnel-wise from last time you were in a playoff game was A.J. Brown. What does that mean for you as you're getting ready for this game, and can you sense what this moment means for him?
Yeah, no, I know he had a playoff experience with Tennessee. I know they had the first-round bye. He's been in this situation before. But anytime you got a player like that, again, he raises the bar of everyone around him. So I know he's fired up. I know our whole team's fired up. It's going to be an electric atmosphere on Saturday night.
Jalen talks all the time about even keel and being the same every day, every week.
Yeah.
In a playoff game, is he different this week? Do you see a different Jalen in any way, or what do you see from him?
He's the same. He's always just right here, right? His preparation, the same thing he did throughout the first 17 weeks of the season, he's doing the same thing this week. He's locked in. He's ready to go, just like our other guys. We've had, really good prep so far, and we're excited about practice today.
He's used the term triple threat quarterback with us in reference to his mind. How have you seen his mind and his decision-making factor into the success of the offense?
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you said. I mean, the decisions he's been making throughout the season have been terrific. He's playing at a high level. We got to keep that going on Saturday. But the way he's seeing the game right now has been awesome, and we got to continue to just execute.